And so, for the most part, that is what this article covers about abortion. This article does go on, but it delves into gender roles within the military and how the military is being feminized and losing its masculinity. And that's a topic for another day, and perhaps I'll cover that. But for now, I just really want to focus on abortion, and before this video gets too long. Um, so something very powerful in this article um, was in this first paragraph right here, right here, um, and it starts in the second line. It's a religious sacrament for this death cult to encourage society to kill its young. Mentioning how globalists are, especially those who are of the Luciferian variety, consider abortion to be sacred. And this ritual that is abortion goes back to thousands of years. It goes back through the biblical days. It is what the Canaanites practiced back before Israel was even freed from Egypt and moving out of it. And when Joshua was the lead prophet after Moses in guiding Israel out of the wilderness towards the land of Canaan to take their land, the Most High warned them about these people, about their beliefs, about their practices, about who they were, and he warned them not to take part in their practices, not to idolize their gods, not to believe in their gods, not to serve their gods. And one of those gods was Baal. And another name for Baal, it comes in many names, was Kronos, the Greek titan of time, Molech, or which comes in a number of spellings. It could be MLK, it could be Molech, it could be Molok, and another variety of spellings. Now, this deity was the main Canaanite deity, and not just the Canaanite deity, but also the Carthaginians, as well as the Assyrians, if I'm correct. And so this deity was a bloodthirsty deity. The Canaanites believed that this deity wanted sacrifice. You know, so what the people believed in is that they believed in sacrificing their own children to this deity, and the way they did it was horrible, horrible, man. Like something that can bring a grown man to tears. They would throw their own children in fires alive, man, and these children would. I probably shouldn't even get into this, man. And while they did it, they would bang on drums and play instruments such as flutes so loud, just so that the people would not hear the children scream. And it's straight up devil worship, man. It's straight up devil worship. The devil deceives people to commit heinous sins against the Most High, in order to lead them away from God's righteousness. Now, the Canaanites believed that if they offered their own children to Molech, in return they would gain reward. Of course, most likely gold, wealth, an easy life, success in whatever fields they practiced, successes in war, and these rewards are hinted at in modern times, especially with organizations that promote abortion. They always talk about the benefits of abortion, and some of those benefits easily tie back to the same benefits that were proclaimed back in those times when the Canaanites sacrificed their own children. And I'm going to bring an article up shows that shows how one of the benefits of abortion is economic prosperity. So here's an article from the Economic Committee, which is of course a Democrat Party organization. And I'm not gonna like read everything here, but I just want you to show how they proclaim there to be benefits of being sexually liberal to commit abortion. All right, so abortion access is key to economic freedom. Access to safe and legal abortion is an economic issue, not only an issue of bodily autonomy and individual agency. Access to abortion enables people to make the decisions that are right for them and their financial security. You see that? Financial security. Furthermore, the ability to control if and when to have a child has lifelong economic consequences, not only for the people directly impacted, but also their families and communities. Abortion is key for individuals to have control over their economic security and future opportunities. Future opportunities, give your child to Molech and you will be given future opportunities. One being educational attainment, earnings, that's a big one. That's pretty much why the majority of the people sacrifice to Molech. Being able to delay motherhood by 1 year due to access to legal abortion increases women's wages by 11% on average. And that's how much a child is worth. 11% increase in pay. Labor force participation, more jobs, professional occupational attainment, promotion in work, recognition in work, prosperity. Poverty, access to abortion not only shapes the economic outcomes of the pregnant person, but also the economic circumstances that children grow up in. Legalization of abortion decreased the percentage of children who grew up in poverty by 0.54% and improved their future life outcomes, increased college attendance rates as well. And then finally, financial security. Women who wanted an abortion but who were unable to get one because they were just past the cutoff date were subsequently more likely to have financial problems. And then this article goes on, but I'm not going to go down there. So there you have it, man. Most likely, the most proclaimed benefit of abortion is better economic opportunities, better chances at wealth, and better financial security. Here's an article that connects the dots a little bit about how Planned Parenthood, aka abortion, relates to ancient child sacrificial rituals from the past. And before I continue, I just want to say that when I pull these articles up, it is not me necessarily showing support or agreeing with all the beliefs that are coming from these writers or these journalists or these media houses. A lot of them are actually paid media. The paid media plays both sides of the cards. They play the good and the bad, as long as they're guiding you away from the Most High. And on top of that, some of them are also just, head over heels about Christianity and not about the truth of the Most High, but rather religion. And religion is a toxic drug that guides you away from truth, you know? So when I read these articles, it's not that I fully agree with what they say. It's just that some of the things that they say are worth mentioning, you know? You gotta separate the meat from the bones. You gotta separate the flesh from the bones. So the Lancaster Patriot investigative journalist Michael Yoder reported last week that Planned Parenthood is aiming for a comeback to Lancaster County. The lamentable return of Planned Parenthood to Lancaster County represents the advance of pagan nationalism and the millennia-old practice of sacrificing children for narcissistic gain. That abortion is viewed as a religious ritual is evident to any perceptive observer. In May, Fox News reported that the Satanic Temple argued its adherents should be permitted religious exceptions to perform religious abortion rituals in states that have put up barriers to abortion. An August 4 episode of Apologia Radio highlighted a popular video showing a do it yourself child sacrifice ritual involving candles, an altar, and abortion pills. Look at that, man. Look at that, man. And then when you tell people about stuff like this, they're like, oh no, this is just conspiracy theory. This isn't real. It's not that deep. There are literally accounts of people practicing witchcraft, people practicing child sacrifice all over the internet. You just have to be willing to dive. And also, you have to, you know, have an open mind towards this, man, because a lot of this does sound hard to believe. But, man, in the end, when you realize that it is the truth, you're going to regret not embracing this truth and not knowing this world for what it really was all this time. Man, and this is why I always say, man, pray to the Most High for observance. Pray to the Most High for truth about what is going on around you and the intentions of the people around you. There's so much going on in this world, man. And if you knew what was going on behind the curtains, behind television, behind music, behind politicians, you would get on your knees in absolute fear and pray that the Most High protects you from what's coming, man. Because pretty soon these people aren't gonna hide it anymore. They're gonna come out and they're gonna be like, "Yeah, we are devil worshippers. Now what?" And when that day comes, you're gonna wish that you'd followed the Most High all this time. The article continues. And one progressive Florida synagogue has argued that abortion laws infringe on religious liberty. But even among less overt abortion zealots, the religious connotation of abortion are manifest. Abortion is viewed as a sacred prerogative. The right to choose life or death for your baby is viewed as a heavenly mandate. None of this is new. Child sacrifice was a common practice in pagan cultures, including ancient Canaan and Carthage. The idea was this: if parents offered up their children to a fiery deity, they would be blessed with bountiful crops, good fortune, and financial prosperity. Give up the child and reap the benefits. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? The mantra of pagan nationalists of Planned Parenthood is the same today. Give up your child to the abortion goddess and you will be blessed. You will be free to enjoy life. You will have more money to spend on yourself. You will not be cursed with a child. One of the most common pagan gods of antiquity was Molech, a bull-headed idol who would receive wriggling babies into his outstretched arms over fire whilst beating drums drowned out the victims' cries. We've cleaned things up a bit, but Molech worshippers would be proud. Nonetheless, babies are sacrificed, their protestations not drowned out by banging drums, but by sterile facade of a pharmacy or Planned Parenthood. Molech worship is still with us, and Planned Parenthood is intent to bring the pagan ceremonies to Lancaster County. This is another article which dives into Molech a little bit and how the Canaanites and the Carthaginians would offer their children up to him and why they would do it. So, although historical and archaeological communities still debate Moloch's identity and influence, he seems to have been a god of the Canaanites, which was a religion born out of the combination of ancient Shemitic faiths. What's known about Molech largely comes from Judaic texts outlawing the worship of him and the writings of ancient Greek and Roman authors. The cult of Molech is believed to have been practiced by the people of the Levant region, at least the early Bronze Age, and images of his bullish head with the child burning in his belly persist until the medieval times. His name likely derives from the Hebrew word Melech, which usually stands for king, meaning it translates to king in Hebrew. There are also references to a Moloch in ancient Greek translations of old Judaic texts as well. These date back to the Second Temple period between 516 BC and 70 CE. before the second temple of Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans. Molech is most frequently referred to in Leviticus. Here is a passage from Leviticus 18, verse 21, condemning child sacrifice. Do not allow any of your children to be offered to Molech. Passages in Kings, Isaiah, and Jeremiah also refer to a Tophet, which has been defined as both a location in ancient Jerusalem, where there was a special bronze statue internally heated by fire, or the statue itself, into which children were apparently thrown for sacrifice. Medieval French Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki, I might have butchered that one, my bad, otherwise known as Rashi, wrote an extensive commentary on these passages in the 12th century, as he wrote, Tophet is Moloch, which was made of brass, and they heated him from his lower parts, and his hands being stretched out and made hot. They put the child between his hands, and it was burnt when it was vehemently cried out. But the priests beat a drum that the father might not hear the voice of his son, and his heart might not be moved. And this is the image of what that ancient statue of Moloch would look like. Here you got the guys beating the drums to mute the cries of the babies, and I guess people were like just okay with this, man, just like cheering on, going on about this as if normal. All right, so scholars have compared these biblical references to later Greek and Latin accounts, which also spoke of fire-centric child sacrifices in Carthaginian city of Punic. Plutarch, for instance, wrote of burning children as an offering to Baal Hamon, a chief god in Carthage who was responsible for the weather and agriculture. And just a little bit about this. Like I said earlier, Moloch came in many names. He also came in the name of Baal. He also came in the name of Kronos. Um, in Egypt, the god of agriculture, if I'm correct, was Osiris. Um, and also one other god's name was Ammon of the Ammonites. Um, and I don't know if some of you guys may know this or not. Those who watch anime, there's this, there's well, there's this anime called Be Beelzebub, which is one of the other names of Baal, and then there's this other anime called Devilman Crybaby, and well, the plot of it was that the protagonist, I forgot his name, came to be possessed by the chief god of hell, whose name was Ammon. And that's the same Ammon which is mentioned here today, Baal Hammon. So while scholars are still debating whether or not the Carthaginian practice of child sacrifice differed from the cult of Moloch, it's generally believed that Carthage only sacrificed children when it was absolutely necessary, like during an especially bad drought, whereas the cult of Moloch might have sacrificed more regularly. Then again, some researchers argue that neither of these cults sacrificed children at all, and that passing through the fire was a poetic term that most likely referred to initiation rites that may have been painful, but not deadly. Further complicating matters is that there is every reason to believe these accounts were exaggerated by Romans to make the Carthaginians appeal crueler and more primitive than they were. Nah, that's not true. And as they were the bitter enemies of Rome after all. Nonetheless, archaeological excavations in the 1920s discovered primary evidence of child sacrifice in the region, and researchers found the term MLK inscribed on numerous artifacts. Now, this doesn't have like much to do with this article, but I want you guys to look at this MLK right here. Um, when you see MLK, what historic figure of America um, in the civil rights movement was famous for being one of the heading figures towards social and racial integration? Martin Luther King. And remember, one of the other one of the meanings for the name Baal is literally king. And look at his initials, MLK. You pronounce that out, that's Molech. Now, I don't want to dive too deep into this, but I just want you to guys to know that a lot of the civil, well, not just civil rights, but a lot of the heroes given throughout history, especially the famous ones who are on TV, they're not who they say they are. They're puppets, they are actors more so, playing a role, providing a face, and basically being told what to do behind curtains. You will never find genuine truth in pop media, not in social media, not on the internet, not on television, and not as a celebrity. Uh, the powers that be won't allow it. Media is owned by them. They know exactly who they want to put on television, no matter the message they may seem to have. Whether it's a famous pastor, whether it's somebody fighting for uh, civil rights, these people aren't who they say they are. But anyways, we took a look back into history with Carthage with a this word always gets me, man. I don't know why. With the Carthaginians and the Canaanites, we got to investigate a little bit how this mainly comes from their practices, their beliefs, their religious systems. And that brings us to the end of this video, man. Um, yeah, so as history shows, man, a lot of societies celebrated and tolerated the slaughter of children, then opposed it. People celebrated the killing of children, whether it was the Canaanites celebrating a sacrifice to Molech, or nowadays you have people shouting their abortion movement, you know, as we've seen over the past few years. The book of Ecclesiastes tells us what has been will be again, and what has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. And in other words, man, everything that is happening today has already happened before. You know, there's little difference in human behavior that is going on Earth. The only difference is the technology that humans are exposed to. Other than that, man, everything that's going on, war, um, abortion, um, the popularization of the LGBTQ community, mass migration, uh, talks of depopulation. It's all happened before. It's all happened before. The earth has seen it in the past. So once again, I advise you guys to keep praying to the Most High for observance, man. Keep praying that He shows you truth about what is to come in this world, and what is to come concerning the works of His hands. I'll see you guys later.